identify with, endorse, agree with the use of racial slurs. A racist white person isn't going to make the gender distinctions that are often made by Black people here in these particular spaces on YouTube. So if a divestor is in a relationship with a white man who agrees with what they are saying about Black men, a white guy that they're with who agrees with them on that is probably...
Also, one other thing. Why do you think what divested people say about Black men, that it's specifically going to be something about them being subhuman? Because, personally, I don't think that Black men are subhuman. Do you want to know exactly why I don't like Black men in a physical sense? It's because they're not physically attractive to me. They're not physically attractive to me because no one is attracted to themselves. So having the whole argument that you're the same race, you're supposed to be attracted to each other, is built on racism. White supremacy specifically encouraged this. It wasn't Black people who encouraged this. This was what white supremacists push for because they believe in white purity, white supremacy, and they want to sometimes, you can't openly be racist, obviously, all the time. So a good comeback is to always flip it and not talk about white people, talk about Black people instead, to make the Black people seem like something's wrong with them if they don't like what they are. Well, no, that's not that they don't like what they are. Except the majority of society is white. The majority of society is not Black. So then it makes perfect sense to be attracted to the majority of your environment. The majority of our environments is white and in part Hispanic. This is another thing. Culturally, we are similar to white Americans because we come from the same families, we come from the same culture, we come from the same people. As much as we don't want to admit it, this is all true. So, to me, it's like, when you guys try and say that you're supposed to have some kind of attraction to people of your own skin tone because they look like you, do you understand with straight people, we usually aren't attracted to what looks like us on the minimum basis at least anyway, because we are attracted to the opposite sex. Therefore, saying the whole thing about they look like you, therefore you should be attracted to them, that's just built on racism. So, that's one side of it. Second side of it is this, like I said, you assuming that it's subhuman, that someone's saying that Black people are subhuman. Many people, honestly, who date within their race that are Black, think actually that Black people are subhuman. That's why they could never date someone who is outside of their race, because that person is above them. And they would feel out of place. It's a sad situation, but that's how they feel. So actually, it goes the other way around. If you think that you are worthy of someone of any race because you don't think that people outside of your race are better than you, that actually implies that you think that people outside of your race are not better than you. Anyway, continue.
I would say 99% of the time is going to think that about Black women too. White racists are going to make that gender distinction. And for them to say that, like, okay, well, white men identify with our talking points here and they agree with us that, like, Black men are subhuman or whatever, it's like, well, they probably, if they're agreeing with you on that, then they probably think that Black women are subhuman too. And if they think that that's not the sort of guy that you should be.
Why are you stereotyping and assuming that people think that Black people are subhuman? That was something you came up to a conclusion of thinking that they're subhuman. But that is a common thought of liberals, honestly. They do treat Black people like they're subhuman. So I think that's something you're telling us about you, not about divested women, though.
Engaging with, at all, if you know that about him, much less being in an actual relationship with him. That's just dangerous.
Now, what they're going to say to this is, oh, well, these are the...
And then I wanted to say right before she says anything, is this would never happen. I already pointed out how with men who are racist, women who are racist, if you're a black racist person, a white racist person, a Hispanic racist person, you're not going to be with someone outside of your race that you are racist towards, because they are an inferior human being. So you saying that white people who think that black men or black women are subhuman will not be with said black man and said black woman. So you can't say that their partners really feel that way. Now, can you? No.
White men we want. And any white man who doesn't agree with us, they must be liberal, they must be a SJW leftist. We don't want those kind of white men. So what do you say to that?
If that's their response to me saying that these conservative, like the alt-right MAGA type white men view just black people as a whole as being less than, if that's their response, it's just like, oh, well, that's just a liberal talking point. That's a terrible response because it doesn't actually address my concern there. It's like, address the concern. Like, are you okay with your husband thinking that he's better than you, like, inherently? Because
no, that's the thing. Two things here. So first off, he's showing his racism again. He's showing his his stereotypes of black women, of black men. And then on top of it, he's generalizing. Okay, so how are you doing all this? Because you started talking about MAGA and alt-right, right? Okay, so MAGA and alt-right are specifically white people, right? So I must be pro-abortion, pro-illegal immigration, and pro-abolishment of prisons. I must be a complete liberal because of the color of my skin? See, that's racism in itself. You assumed I wasn't pro-MAGA because of my skin tone, because of my race. That is full racism. I'm here to say that I have voted for Trump twice, 2016 and 2020, and I'm very proud of it. Very proud of it. I specifically voted for Trump specifically because Justice Scalia died. And because Justice Scalia died, I understood that this was the chance to kill Roe v. Wade. And look at what happened. Roe v. Wade died. Thank God. So, I mean, like, on different issues, I'm a very conservative woman. I'm conservative. I'm pro-life. That was the main reason I voted for Trump, was because I'm pro-life. Secondarily, when I actually voted, there was specifically a person who was talking about immigrants. And she was acting like, oh, it's good to have people of color vote, because I guess she thought that they were going to vote in the favor of illegal immigrants just because I'm black, which is weird. It's so racist, too, because why are you assuming that black Americans are foreign immigrants? Sweetie, to this white man and to the white woman that was at that voting poll, my ancestors have been here longer than yours. So the assumption that I am supposed to be in favor of illegal immigration, or that I'm somehow an immigrant, or somehow not truly American, is racist on your part. You assuming that I'm not going to be pro my country, very pro nationalism, pro my country, pro America, is extreme racism, because you assumed that I'm not a real American simply because of the color of my skin. That's so annoying. I hate people like that. And that's what I mean about people like this, because they're trying to say that there's racism, but racism spews right out of your mouth while you're talking about someone else being racist. No, being pro-MAGA is not racist at all. Not nearly. Honestly, being conservative is being pro-black. In my opinion, very pro-black. One, because of abortion. Roe v. Wade being dead is a good thing, because many of the states that are pro-life now have high percentages of black women getting abortions. 75% of the women getting abortions in Alabama, the monsters getting abortions in Alabama, were specifically black. So that means black children were getting killed at high numbers, like the highest numbers of any other race. And they're a minority in that state, yet they were the majority of abortions. That in itself saves black lives. Being pro-life saves black lives. If you're not pro-life, you don't think black lives matter. That's just the truth. So when you talk about race and stuff, your side literally is committing genocide against black people in the womb, first off. And then on top of it, it's not just that. It's also other situations, like, for example, illegal immigration. A lot of different aspects to illegal immigration affect black Americans. One, it affects us with jobs. The most. Many of the jobs that people say that nobody wants, black people once had them largely. Now, we don't even have access to that because we get discriminated the most out of everyone because a lot of illegal immigrants come from countries that are very anti-black. And if you don't believe me, I can literally show you. I specifically showed documents, basically, on videos on Afro-Mexicans and how they're not citizens there, how they couldn't go to school there, how they were seen as less than human, and they still are, and this day and age, they are discriminated like crazy over there. That's what we have to deal with when illegal immigrants come here. So, on the basis of racism, people are always complaining about racism, but for some reason, you don't want to admit that the main people that we're going to deal with racism from is not white Americans. It's actually people who come illegally, don't care about our laws, about our border laws. Of course, they don't care about our discrimination laws. Will not hire black people if their life depended on it. And, basically leave black people at a situation where they are disadvantaged now because now they're dealing with discrimination and jobs that they used to be able to get, but now they can't. So that's one issue. There's more issues to that whole situation. Financial, like some black people who live in poor environments and how that affects them with crime, with drugs, with many of the time, I live in the Southwest. If you go past the welfare office, you'll see most of the people with welfare are not black, specifically. They're not white. I'm just saying. And that is a financial burden on taxpayers. So my whole point in this whole conversation is specifically that you guys constantly try and act like that people who are specifically, black are supposed to be pro-abortion somehow. We're supposed to be pro-illegal immigration, even though we're not immigrants. Long ago, and this isn't too long ago, black Americans used to be much stronger on illegal immigration than white Americans. Understandably so. We do not have a dog in that fight. We don't. Our ancestors were taken from Africa in the 1700s, sometimes in the early 1800s. Most were not. It was mainly 16 and 1700s, which lets you know that obviously in these situations, we are so far removed from anybody from Africa. And we don't come from immigrants, one, because you have to willingly come here in order to be an immigrant. Our ancestors were not. So, on this basis of trying to say that we should have some kind of allegiance to people who literally discriminate against us at any time that they can in their countries and in our country, doesn't matter. is insane. You're not really paying attention to who Black Americans are. You're paying attention to who you view Black Americans as, how you feel about Black Americans. You feel it's better for Black Americans to have high abortion rates. You feel it's better to keep that number in check because you do not like the Black American population, as many liberals do not like the Black American population. That's why you like to keep our numbers low. You think it's better to have other people come to the country and replace us as a voting bloc too, because Black Americans are a strong voting bloc to the Democrats and to the liberal agenda. So because of that, they don't want to have to wine and dine them anymore. They want to replace them for somebody else. They think that it's an okay thing to discriminate against Black people because they don't like Black people. This is a common occurrence for these type of liberals. That's why he made this whole assumption about Black Americans and thinking they're not real Americans and thinking that they can't be pro-MAGA and they can't be the other thing, alt-right or whatever. And it's just like, many of the things that I've read about alt-right had to do with immigration. Now, how is that going to affect me as a Black American? It's not. You're talking to a foreign African Jamaican on here. She's not a Black American. She doesn't count, sweetie. So, when you start assuming things, it's really crazy because it's like you think my views would be compatible with somebody who is a liberal, who frickin' hates my kind, who thinks that Black people should basically have high abortion rates, who should have their jobs taken by illegal immigrants, who should have discrimination by illegal immigrants who constantly discriminate against them in their own country. You think that that's all good, and you think that I should be with a man who thinks that of me and my race. Really, seriously. Seriously, and I don't even try to get me to talk about the whole issue with crime. For goodness sakes, liberals are not doing anything for Black people in poor neighborhoods with crime. They're just making it worse. They try and sensationalize police brutality on Black people. And then they don't even fix the freaking problem because it's not a race issue. It's not a race issue. What the issue is specifically that you have police officers that have issues and they sometimes go rogue. And that doesn't have to do with Black, white, Asian, Hispanic. It has to do with some people are not made for the job. That's it. And nobody can address it because the liberals keep sensationalizing Black versus white and not actually dealing with the issue. Added to the fact that there is extreme amounts of crime in places like Chicago and many other Black cities with large amounts of Black people and poor neighborhoods. It's just like, you don't want to fix any of that. You want to get more criminals out on the street to victimize Black children, Black women, innocent Black men. It's just like you do not think that Black lives matter, and you want me to get with a guy who literally thinks these things about Black people, that they need to be living in deplorable living standards, basically. That they don't deserve to get a fair chance at a job, that they don't deserve to live in a safe neighborhood, that they don't deserve to have a healthy and safe environment in the womb, like other people largely do. Most, like I said, the percentage is largely targeted at Black Americans, which means abortion is mainly for Black American people. It's a racialized situation going on there. So it's like, to me, you mean to tell me, people like this, if you really pay attention to them, they are the main racist people here. And you want to tell me that being pro-MAGA is racist. There's nothing in the policies and the ideas of pro-MAGA ideology and being, a conservative that actually literally focus on Black people getting disenfranchised. It is specifically liberal ideology that basically puts the foot on black people's necks. So I just wanted to say that. Because, I mean, like, please do not tell me about black people needing to be with liberals who look down on black people, who think black people are subhuman, who think black people are not equal, who think that black people don't deserve an equal chance. That's all I have to say on this. It's just so weird. Like, to me, it's like, obviously, for obvious reasons, even if you didn't agree with how I view liberals, you should understand there are conservative black people out here. And so if we are conservative, how the heck do you think we should be with liberal crazies like you? Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye, guys.